Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel and I hope you are all having a wonderful day today. Today I'm going to go through how I do my base makeup with you. That's my primer, my foundation, my contour, my concealer, my highlight and my blush, just to give me the sort of base look of how I like to then play with everything else. So first thing I'm going to do is clip my hair out of the way because my hair is so long at the moment and so thick that it's just driving me bonkers and getting in my face. So I'm just going to click that back. Now, as you can see, if you look at my face, I do have sort of slight rosy cheeks just here. I don't actually use anything for the rosiness in my cheeks. One, because it's not a major disaster, but two, I find that using my primer and the foundation that I use actually covers it up anyway and still gives me the look that I like. So I'm cool with it. Primer first. I've already moisturised. I've been using the Ren moisturiser because I love my Ren skincare. The primer that I'm using at the moment is the MAC Prep and Prime, and I have got a full bottle, but I've also got this teeny tiny tester, as you can see there, that I was given. So I'm gonna use that for now, and I basically just pop it onto my face, sort of places that you need it really. I tend to use it more where I get open pores because, of course, a primer helps to sort of smooth those pores over. So sort of in my T-zone, sort of mainly, is where I use it. And just kind of rubbing it all in there. She's a rosy girl. That feels so smooth. I do really, really like this primer, Matte Prep and Prime. I also really like the Benefit Pore Perfection. That's a really nice primer as well. So foundation-wise, I have tried a lot of foundations over the years. Again, as you get older, your skin changes. One thing I should probably mention is that I am possibly a bit older than you think I am. I'm actually 43 years old. And so as a result of that, I don't have a young skin anymore. I have what's called an old skin. And when you get older, you start to notice differences in your skin, and that affects products that you can use. So I've started to notice that on my eyes here, I'm starting to just like little tiny bit of sagging just there, which makes, you know, liquid eyeliner interesting. You know, and just certain little areas just starting to kind of go a little bit. So I used Estee Lauder Double Wear for absolutely donkey's years, as I think most of the world did. I think it's still the best-selling foundation, isn't it? But I've actually switched in the last year because I wanted something. I found, and probably because my hormones were changing as I got older, that it was just not sitting right on me. It was looking far too cakey on me. It was basically turning into concrete on me. It's an amazing foundation. I'm not slagging off Estee Lauder Double Wear because it served me well for many, many years. But rather than having a heavy full coverage, I think I needed a more medium coverage. So I went to, when I was in Los Angeles, I went into Sephora. I very much live in Sephora in the Grove when I'm in Los Angeles. And I went back to Too Faced. I remember using Too Faced years and years ago. And I went back to them and I tried this foundation, Peach Perfect. I gotta tell you, it's beautiful. It's an absolutely amazing foundation. The way it blends into my face, the way my face accepts it, the way other products sit on it, it's just really beautiful. It claims to be oil-free, 14-hour wear, oil controlling, photo friendly. I have to say I agree with all of that. It's only a medium cover, which was new for me. I've always had a full cover, but it is just right. It's perfect, and it gives me the coverage that I want. To me, it still looks like a full cover. It's also infused with peach and sweet fig milk. I didn't even know there was a fig milk. There you go. But so what I do is I put one streak across my forehead. I do like a bear claw. Now here's an interesting fact for you. Most people, as you probably know, don't have symmetrical faces. And in fact, if you were to put your face and the other side of your face symmetrical, you'd look very odd. Most people actually have one side of their face bigger than the other. My right side is just a little bit fuller than my left side. So I do need just slightly more product on my right side. Now, I do use a foundation brush, but for my forehead, I don't. I use my fingers. Generally, I don't recommend using your fingers when you're blending a foundation because you have natural oils on your fingers. And all you're going to do is put those oils onto your face, onto your foundation, make it not blend properly and possibly cause blemishes. But for my forehead, I actually do find it easier, she says, having said all that, just because your forehead's a funny old shape. And so to get around my eyebrows and to blend it into my hairline, I personally just find it easier to use my fingers for my forehead. So literally that's all I do for my forehead. Now for my actual face, I normally do use a brush. Today I'm going to use my beauty blender for my foundation because I want to, really. I sort of switch between using a brush and using a beauty blender. And all I do is basically just tap it all over the face there, if you can see that. Now, one thing you mustn't forget to do is just your ears, just a little bit there, so it blends in. And then don't ever forget to do your neck, people, because so many people, when they're sort of starting out with makeup or they're not quite sure how to blend it properly, they sort of end it just here and you look like you're wearing a mask. So you must bring it down onto your neck, just as I'm doing here. It's quite hard to do this, not looking at it. So you can see the product is being brought down here, and then you can blend it in. My face and my neck are actually quite a different colour, you can probably see, which is why I do struggle to buy foundations, actually. So then I just bring it slightly under my eye, onto my nose. And all I'm doing with this beauty blender is I'm pushing the product into the skin. So I'm not pulling it, because otherwise you're going to end up very, very streaky. I'm just gently pushing it into the skin. If I was to use my brush, I tend to use this one for my foundations more. I kind of buff it into the skin like this kind of motion, but very quick. Sort of buffing it into the skin like that. So that is one side. And I do the same with the other. Now, one thing I do like about this foundation is it's buildable. So I can see I just need a little bit more on my cheeks there. And obviously I haven't done my chin yet. So I'll just take a little bit more onto my beauty blender. Now, when I do my chin, I also do my lips. I use foundation as a base for my lipstick, basically. Now, with my beauty blender and any excess that's on it, I don't need to put any more foundation on it. I'm just going to slightly pull it across my eyes there, just as a bit of a base for my eyeshadow in a moment. I do use an eyeshadow base. I use the MAC Prep and Prime, but I also just like to put this under as well to make sure that baby don't go anywhere. Okay, so you can see now that my foundation is lovely and blended in. So now I move on to concealer. I'm actually going to use the NYX HD Studio Photogenic. Love my NYX. There we go, that one there. I'm just going to use a tiny, tiny bit. Go in with the beauty blender again and blend underneath the eye, pulling slightly out there. It does blend really nicely, this NYX concealer, I have to say. I do like NYX products. So you can see that blends in really nice. I've got another mirror down here, by the way, because I'm actually really short-sighted. So I have to be able to be like... Okay, now what I do before I do my contour, because I use powder contour, not a liquid, I actually just want to set this with powder. And I'm using the NYX HD Studio Photographic powder at the moment. Now, I powder before I do my contour and before I do my blush because I use a powder contour and blush. So basically I want to set the makeup, the liquid makeup that I've done, and then go over with the powders. So with this NYX powder, it's very translucent, as you can see. I just pour it all over the floor. I just put a little bit in the lid, and with my powder brush I go into the lid. Always take off the excess, people. You do not want powder cake face. And I just gently dab it on my skin. I don't streak it or anything like that. I just gently dab it onto my skin, onto my nose. I do like quite a matte look. So I pop that on. Now the next thing I do is my highlight. My highlight at the moment, I have a few highlight kits. all of them are from Anastasia Beverly Hills because I am obsessed by her highlighters. Now, at the moment, I've got the Nicole Guerrero, I can never pronounce that. I've got her kit. And this was actually sent to me, not by Anastasia Beverly Hills, it was sent to me by a friend. I wanted it forever, and he's not on Instagram, so I couldn't really thank him publicly. But it's absolutely beautiful, as you can see. 6 glorious, wonderful highlighters there. I think I'm going to go, just because I'm going to go for a slight sort of, to mix in with the sort of animal print that I'm wearing here, I'm going to go in for a slight sort of bronzy look today. So I'm going to go in, I think, with Glow Getter. So you go in with the brush, remember to take off the excess, and you're just taking it slightly along the sort of top of where you would put your contour, really, I guess. Just take it slightly along, make sure you blend it in. Don't just do a streak and leave it. You want to blend it in. So that when you turn your cheek, you've got that lovely sheen there. Now, I'm going to put a tiny bit on my nose, just there. I like a bit of a nose highlight. Now, with my highlight, I also pop it on the inner corner of my eyes, just because when you do your eyeshadow, it really does open up your eyes. And I'm going to use the same shade. I'm going to use the Glow Getter. Literally that much. And once I've done my eyebrows, I also put a little bit underneath the brow bone as well once my eyeshadow is done. So that's all I do for a highlight. The next thing I do is my contour. Now, I actually use contour powder, and I use my NYX matte bronzer for this. Some people necessarily wouldn't use bronzer as a contour. They'd use natural contour kit. I find that I get on with this really fine. So again, in with the brush, take off that excess. Now, I basically start at my forehead and I blend into the hairline, just coming down like this. Less is more, because you can always build on it if you want to. So I literally just do this into my bloody hair, it's so long, into my hairline. I'm getting a bit more product. I then bring it down just underneath my cheekbone, and you don't really want to bring it any further than the end of your eye, okay? So you want to, if you feel, actually, a good trick is if you feel underneath your cheekbone, there's like a little hole just there. That's kind of where you want to bring it. And that is literally all I do, but it makes such a difference. You can see this is kind of in now, and this is still slightly out. So I'm just going to do the other side. So that is what I do for my contour. Now, I know some people like to use a contour sort of like on the edges of the nose here, and occasionally I do that. It's not something I do every day. Mainly, I just do my forehead and my cheeks. I just find for me that's enough. Now, if I was doing something photographic or if I was going on TV, I would probably do underneath my chin here as well. Just like this. Don't do it directly on the chin. Otherwise, you look like I've got a 5 o'clock shadow. You just do it slightly under, and I also just bring it slightly down the neck there as well. The top I'm wearing covers my clavicle, so I wouldn't use that today, but if you had a sort of lower top on, you could sort of do it on the clavicle as well, just to give you a bit more definition. I do that for TV because basically it gives you more of a sort of defined appearance on TV. So blush. Now, I've got various amounts of blushes. I generally use MAC for blushes. I really like their blushes, their powder blushes. But actually, Too Faced have got a wonderful product. Too Faced have a brilliant, I think I've mentioned it before, Papa Don't Peach. Now, Papa Don't Peach, I mean, you can see where they got that title from. It's glorious. It's a beautiful peachy gold, and it even smells peachy. Oh, that's so good. It's part of their, I think it is part of their Peach Perfect range, but it's really lovely. It stays on really well, and I do love a good embossed product, as you can see there. So all I do with that one is take a little bit of the product. I sometimes use this as an eyeshadow as well, you know. Again, taking off the excess. And you just want to put it on the apples of your cheeks. There you go. And the other side. Okay, so that is actually the final thing that I do for my base. So that is my base done. What I do tend to do is use a setting spray before I then move on to my eyes and my lips. And I use the Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray. It's very, very good. Highly recommended. And you're just going to go in all over the face with that. Help it along the way to dry a bit. And that is how I do my base. In my next video, we will go through my eyeshadow routine and how I do lots of different looks with my eyeshadow and liquid liners. I already have a video out on how I do my Banksy eyebrows, as someone calls them. You can find that by clicking right there. And I'll see you all very, very soon. Thank you.